Welcome to another episode of A Servant's Heart podcast, where you will hear about women loving others through service, fun times, helping others, and opportunities to join us ladies of the Statesville Women's Club to also be a servant with heart.
Well, today we are joined with Jennifer DiFiore. Is that right?
DiFiore, uh-huh.
Okay. And Jennifer, you ran recently for the 4th Ward City Council position, correct? And as a newcomer to the political scene, we welcome you to our Women Making a Difference segment.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we are too. Just a few I'm just curious, really. What motivated you to run for the city council position? I mean, because you had not been in the political scene before, right?
No. And honestly, it took me by surprise because I had lots of friends and family asking me to run.
Yeah.
And I really did have to think about it. I had to pray about it because it was something I had never been involved in before and wasn't sure that I could even really do it. I even asked, I was like, what are my qualifications to run for city council? And friends and family were like, you're a hard worker. You love volunteering in the community. You're well educated. Lots of different experiences that you can bring to the table,
Right.
and common sense.
Yeah.
And so they were like, you're totally qualified. So
Right.
so once I had that confidence to do so, I thought, well, I'm just going to go for it. And when I do something, I go all out.
100%.
110%.
Wow.
200%. Because I think it's important to work really hard when you set your mind to something and do the best you can. So,
Right.
and once I started getting into the race, I was really excited about it and learned a lot through the process and was really happy that I made that decision to do so.
That's so great. Yeah, I saw your signs all around town, and I'm not in the city. I'm right in the, what is that? The jurisdictional, the zone that's going to be annexed next, I guess, is
Right.
what it is.
Uh-huh.
So if you had been elected, because we know the results, is Amy Lawton. You were running against Amy Lawton.
Yes, ma'am.
And she got more votes. What kind of changes would you have liked to see for the city of Statesville?
Well, one of the biggest concerns that I ran on was crime. Crime has become a big issue here. I mean, it has gone down in some areas, but like youth violence is really up in our area. I live on like downtown Statesville area, of course, and we've had attempted break-ins in our house. We actually, while I was running, I had someone break into our van in the driveway while I was getting ready for school one morning. So it happened between 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning.
Holy cow.
They stole all the tools out of my husband's van and some money. And so anyway, it is something that to be concerned with. And so that's one of the things I was running on was just really working with the police department. They have been able to install cameras throughout the city, but they need lots more.
Right.
I did a ride-along with the police department while I was doing my campaign, just to see what's going on in our area.
Yeah.
And talking to the police officer I was riding with, he was telling me that they run a lot on grants for some of the equipment that they need, but of course those grants run out. They're also very restrictive as far as what they can use with the grant money.
Right.
And also he was saying that, really, well, I also went to a town meeting with the police department. They've only got 88 officers, but they really need about 150, to
Wow.
staff our area the way it needs to be staffed.
So we're running almost 50%
Yeah,
short.
we could really use a
Okay.
lot more officers, especially because I-77 and 40 come through this area. So we are a hub for crime,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And a lot of the crime that does happen in Statesville, I found out, isn't actually natives per se.
Right.
They come in from Hickory, Salisbury, Charlotte, surrounding areas
Right.
to commit the crimes, and then they're out.
Nice.
And the thing is without cameras catching these, criminals coming in, it's hard to catch them.
Right.
The ones that we do have in place have actually helped a lot. So, but in other words, if I had been elected, my goal was to really work even more with the police department, more funding, because that's an issue, is the funding and training that the officers need to maintain their equipment, and to provide safety even for them.
Right.
When they're working with unskilled officers, which sometimes, then that is not safe for anybody.
Right.
So that was one of the biggest things. And the other thing was partnering more with the school system.
Right.
Because through this process, too, I had found out when I decided to run that really City Council has not supported or had a great relationship with the school system.
Oh.
And over the years, and no money is really funded to the schools through the city. And we have 6 city schools.
Yeah.
And there's no support given to those schools.
Wow.
So.
Okay. So let's talk about election results with your race against Amy Lawton. So I was shocked. I went on the North Carolina election site and clicked and put in all of our details because it's really fascinating because there's really no reason to not be informed with a site like that.
Right.
You can specify the race even. So I did, and up pops the results. So there were 17 precincts for Ward 4. 17. We're not talking 4 or 5. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking, it's a small. No, 17 precincts. And out of the 17 precincts, 3.5% of those people voted.
Yeah, it was really, that was another big eye-opener for me running for this campaign because we went out knocking on doors. I think there's over 2,000 people that live in Ward 4. And I would say we probably knocked on over 800 doors that we got to during that time. And I'd say about 90% of them didn't even realize that voting was going on. So
That's a problem.
there was an election, and
That's a problem.
that was insane. I couldn't believe that. So we actually, on my campaign materials, put down the dates of the early voting as well as the election, so that hopefully people would remember to go out and vote.
Right.
On the day of the election, I was out knocking on doors, reminding people, "Hey, there's an election going on today. Go vote. Whoever you vote for, just go vote." And I was really shocked at how many people just really. Just that lackadaisical type attitude towards voting. They really didn't seem to care. And
So apathetic.
And I actually know there's some voters that voted for me that hadn't voted since 2002. But because I was running,
That's fantastic, though. So
like,
you
I'll
lit
go
a
out and
fire. You lit a fire.
Yeah, so they went out and voted. I have a friend who recently became a citizen, and she made sure she got to the polls to vote for me. But she said, "Well, Jen, I don't know. I probably won't worry about voting on any next time." She's like, "I'll vote maybe for the president, but I probably won't worry about voting for any other local elections." And I'm like, people, this is like the most important election that you can vote for.
Yeah. So the way I think about it is if you want change in our country, you have to start at the foundation, right?
Yep.
So our foundation is our city, then it's our county, and then it's North Carolina. And I have to say that I'm so excited about voter ID being required.
Yes.
That's a huge plus. Yes. North Carolina is ahead on that. There's just a few states so far that have passed a voter ID law. But you know what? The question is, so we know that people didn't show up. So how do you think we can increase voter turnout for future elections?
Well, I mean, the thing is there is a lot of information out there. People just don't look for that information. Now on social media, Facebook, their website, like you're saying, there's lots of places where it's advertised. But one of the things that really I thought was interesting is our race was at a really odd time.
It was.
So I think that was another reason for that. If
it
was October 10th.
10th, yeah.
So if our race could be combined with the race that's going on in November, which is normally when people think of voting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like we could have gotten more of a voter turnout as well.
Yeah.
I had lots and lots of supporters. And when I went and knocked on doors, even on election, it's today. I'll just do early voting. I'm like, early voting is over. So, people didn't even realize that. And so I feel like if it was, the race was at the same time as all the other elections in November, it would really make it more simple and people would be more aware of it.
So in order to get that change done, I mean, where do we go? I mean, is that the elections board?
Well, I've had people ask me that question too, and that's something I'm looking into because I honestly don't know how that could get changed. But I feel like it does need to be changed. I feel like we get a much larger
or at least
turnout.
Group it together so that all the city elections happen on this particular day, and all the county, or maybe city and county together, so that we know as voters, okay, this is the day for our local elections.
And also the election office, it closed earlier too this year. It would close at 5 o'clock. Well, a lot of people I know work till 5, so they couldn't get there instead of being until 7 o'clock. So that was another thing.
Oh, that's a problem.
Yeah, and so as a matter of fact, this one friend of mine, it took her almost till the very last day of early voting to get there. She had to make a point to get to the election board because she works until 5. So that's another thing I feel like. It used to be open, I think, until 7. But this time during early voting, that was only up until 5. Now, on the day of the election, it was open later.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. So that was early voting.
But I still feel like even early voting, I feel even if it was until 6 o'clock, I think that would help voters.
All right. So with the big 2024 presidential election coming up, how do you think we can encourage? And we were talking about how do we get the word out, but how can we encourage people to vote? Because we're already talking about there's some apathy going on. People are discouraged. What are some ideas that you might have to encourage people?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of times people think that just that one vote's not really going to make a difference. And so,
I hear that a lot. Yeah, even at my house.
It really does.
Home.
Yep, it really, really makes a huge difference. And so, I mean, I think it actually starts with our youth too.
Right.
Because, I mean, in educating our youth about the voting process, there's a teacher at Statesville High School that does a really great job in the Crossroads program there of teaching his students about the voting process and the importance of voting, and he's even taken them down to the election board before, the ones who are old enough to vote, to help them vote. So I think that's a big thing, is getting our youth to understand how important it is to vote. And even my daughter, she's 14, and I told her, I know politics is not interesting at this age, but you've got to learn about it. You've got to learn about government and how it affects your life in all areas. So, but as far as helping out, encouraging people, adults. I don't know there's any one answer for that.
Right.
But I know that on Facebook, social media, Instagram, maybe trying to promote it that way.
Right.
And reminding people with posts about the election coming up and the importance of it, I think is a good way to get the word out there and encourage people.
So, when we were talking ahead of the interview, I was thinking, why are we not putting yard signs out? We could put them at the major intersections, and it could be something like, make a difference, vote.
Yep.
And, and at least, and then a date. And then, of course, maybe they could be reused. Now, who does that? I mean, maybe that's a women's club thing. Maybe that is something that we can do a little bit of a community fundraiser to say, hey, we want to make a difference.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that the public knows that, this is coming up. Because as much as we are so supposedly connected with social media, there are more people now than ever that are disconnected.
Yep.
We're on our phones all the time, but maybe it's algorithm. I don't know, but we don't really get the information that we really should be getting.
Well, and even the city police, they do these community meetings, and one of the ones I was at, there was 4 people there, right? Oh. And they were so excited because there was 4 people, and I'm like, 4? Are you serious? Is this all you ever get? And they're like, yeah. They said people just don't come to these, and I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, we posted on this, we posted on that. I'm like, yeah, but like you're saying, a lot of people, I look at Facebook maybe once a week, and I try to catch up, and so I was like, there's got to be other ways that you can advertise it. And even the website, sometimes the website's not that easy to navigate. So I'm like, what about putting information in church bulletins? Because
that's a great idea.
We have lots of people that go to church
idea.
in our community.
Yeah.
Why not talk to the pastors of the churches in the area?
Right.
Have them put that in their bulletins, put it in their newsletters each month.
Absolutely.
About things like that in city government that's going on.
Yeah.
Because that people, I think, will look at.
Right.
When
just
they're in
a
church
little great little
blurb.
reminder.
And when they're in church on Sunday mornings, they, I know when we usually go through and look and see, okay, what's going on, and we look at it. And
excellent.
That would be another way, I think, to capture.
Okay, you're on it. That's a great idea. So get going on that one. I learned in church, it's like, be careful what little idea you come up with, because guess what? Now you're chairperson on that committee. But anyways, no, I think it's a great idea.
And I like the idea of yard signs. The yard sign thing is great. I had even made like little small signs to put in windows, around town when I was running my campaign.
Yeah.
For that visibility, but also knocking on doors. Knocking on doors and talking to people helped tremendously.
Yeah. That's such a great thing to make personal contact, because, who is Jennifer DiFiore? I mean, but when someone knocks on your door and they see you and you're a real person, and you feel your passion through what you're saying. And
it was interesting because a lot of people didn't realize how important city council was at all. Like, what do they even do? People didn't even know. So we educated a lot of people on what city council does and why they're important, and how much power really they have on what happens in our city.
Absolutely.
I think that personal connection is huge and something that we're missing.
Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for stopping by for Women Making a Difference. And I just feel like this is just your foot in the door, and I hope that you take another opportunity to run for office again sometime soon.
Thank
Who
you.
knows? School board, right?
Yeah, well, I work for Iredell Statesville Schools.
There you go. School board, maybe.
So I can't do the school board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I've had a lot of people ask me about that, but as long as I still got 9 more years
Conflict
to
of
go.
interest.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
in 9 years, when I retire, then maybe.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us, and
Thank you for having me.
Stopping by for another Servant's Heart podcast, Women Making a Difference.
You've been listening to A Servant's Heart, sponsored by the Statesville Women's Club. We are located at 515 West End Avenue, Statesville. To contact us, you can email us at statesvillewomensclub@gmail.com or call 704-761-8208. Our website is statesvillewomensclub.org. Remember, that's Statesville Women's Club with an A.org.